Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Learning with Ms. P. And I don't have my kids with me because we are actually out today on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. And I hope that you all enjoyed your day off and found an active service that you were able to do to help your community. So, without any further delay, today our video is going to be about division. So, what is division? What is division? How do we do it? That is what we're going to tackle today. And we're just going to take it in baby steps to make sure that we fully understand the concept so that when we get to larger numbers, it becomes easier. Okay, so all right, so let's talk division. What is division? Before we can really do division and understand division, we got to know all of the moving pieces that are involved when we are dividing. So first of all, what is division? And division is pretty much when we divide, we look to separate things into equal groups. Now, multiplication, on the other hand, involves joining those groups together. So we are going to focus on the dividing side where we are separating into equal groups. And that word equal is very important, okay? So we are making items, whether it's students, we're grouping them into equal groups. Candy, we're going to put candy in equal groups. So by the time I finish posting the next 3-ish videos, my goal is to help you with this I can statement. And this statement says I can divide a 1, 2, 3, or 4-digit number by a 1-digit divisor. So again, divisor, what is that? Well, that's one of those division vocabulary words that we need to make sure that we understand so that we can divide successfully. So the first word that we are going to look at is quotient. Quotient is the answer to your division problem. Then you have your dividend. Your dividend is the number that is in that division house, okay? So this is also the amount or the number that is going to be divided. Or another word that we can think about is the total, okay? The total or the whole number that you're going to start with. So if you have 56 pieces of candy and you're going to divide it by 5, your whole or the total number of candies that you have will be 56 in that scenario. The next word that you want to understand is divisor. Your divisor is the number that is dividing or doing the cutting, but it's dividing that larger number into those smaller groups that are equal. So here's an example. A lot of times you see division problems, they can be written in 2 different ways. This here is written with your division symbol. So when you have 20, the way we read this is 20 divided by 4 equals 5. So your dividend, this is your total. You have 20 pieces of candy divided by 4. So you're putting them into 4 equal groups equals 5. So you have 5 equal groups of 4 that gives you the whole 20. So did you catch what I just did? Because if you did not know, multiplication is the inverse of division. So 5 times 4 equals 20, while 20 divided by 4 equals 5. So going back to the statement that I made earlier where your division problems can be written in 2 ways. Here on your screen, you see that I have this division problem that is written, and it's like this number 36 is in that division house. So you have the division house, and then you have it with this division symbol. Please excuse my computer formatting. I do know my division house does look a little silly, but for the sake of the lesson, I think that we can kind of understand and see what's going on here. So the way that we read this first problem is 36 divided by 4 equals 9. This problem here, the way that we would read it is 25 divided by 4 equals 6 with a remainder of 1. And I did not talk about the remainder with our vocabulary words on the other slides. I apologize. Your remainder is kind of what it says. It's remaining. What is left over? So when you are putting, you have your 25 total, and you have your 4, you have 6 equal groups of 4, and there's going to be 1 that is left over. And again, this is the problem that you saw previously with the division symbol. So we would read this as 49 divided by 7 equals 7. And if you were writing this in the division house, that division house goes, it would just drop down on that first number. So 49 divided by 7 equals 7. But I have these lines here because I really want to make sure that we understand what the vocabulary words are. So here, this number 4, this is called our divisor. Okay? Again, your divisor is the number that is doing the cutting. This number 9 here on the top, this is going to be your quotient. Quotient, okay? This number 25, it's in the house, right? It's in the division house. So when the number is in the house, it is your dividend, okay? I'm just stressing that in part because dividend is inside of that division house. Over here, do you remember what that R is called? I hope you said remainder, because this is what is left over. And the last one here, or the last two, that 49, do you remember I gave that explanation? That 49 is going to be called your dividend. What about the 7, y'all? What is that 7 called? Yeah, it's going to be your divisor. That is the number that is going to be doing the cutting. So there's another part before we get into our division is that I want you to understand how important it is to understand the vocabulary words, in this case with this problem here, 4. Every division problem essentially has a question that you are answering. And the question is, how many equal groups of, and then whatever your divisor is, you say that number. How many equal groups of blank can you make out of blank? And this number here is going to be the dividend. So again, that first blank is going to be your divisor because your divisor is doing the cutting. And remember, I told you guys earlier that word equal is very, very, very important. So with this one, how many equal groups of 4 can you make out of 36? Okay. With this problem here, let's try that. How many equal groups of 4 can you make out of 25? Okay. The last one, how many equal groups of 7, just because it's written different, don't let it trick you, can you make out of 49? So let's look at this. So I have 8 right here, and I hope you remember that that number is called the what? divisor. The 64 in the division house is called the dividend. So remembering your division question, how many equal groups of blank can you make out of blank? So the question here that we are trying to answer is, how many equal groups of 8 can you make out of 64? So division is cool where you can look at this and kind of make a problem, right? So in this case, I have these rectangles over here on the side. We're going to let these represent school buses, okay? So you have these school buses over here, and then you have all of the kids, and these kids, they're going on a field trip. So you have a total of how many kids? 64. So you have 64 kids that are going on a field trip, but unfortunately, all of the kids cannot ride on the same bus. Only 8 kids can ride on the bus. So, how many equal groups of 8 can you make out of the 64? So, when we do the work, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, do you see this is one group of 8? So, they can fit on this bus. So far I have one equal group of 8. I'm going to count another equal group of 8 and move them to the bus. I'm going to count another group of 8. And then I have another group of 8. Another group of 8. Another group of 8. Another group of 8. And another group of 8. So now I have all of the kids on the bus. So we don't need these buses here, right? So when we're answering the question, how many equal groups of 8 can I make out of 64? So I had a total of 64 kids, and when I do the math and actually group the kids together on the same bus, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 equal groups of 8. Also, check your work. Your number on the top, which is your quotient, right? 8. If you multiply your quotient times your divisor, so 8 times 8, it should equal 64. But if you got another number, let's say if you did this problem and you didn't do your work and you want to check to make sure that your answer is correct, maybe you put 5 up here, right? Just going really quickly, but if you know that 8 times 5 equals what? 8 times 5 equals 40. This number 40 is not the same as this number that is in the division house, your 64. So that lets us know that this number answer here, 5, is not correct. So let's do some easy problems. And I'm going to put 2 problems on the screen. And I would love for you to work these 2 problems out and leave your answers in the comment. The next time that we meet in our next video, we're going to look at some more word problems like this. Well, not word problems, but division problems. but we are going to look at what happens if and when you have a remainder. Well, there you have it, division. I certainly hope this video helped you understand what division is and how we do it just a little bit better than you knew before. Be sure to make sure before you leave and click off of this video, I need you to click subscribe if you have not already done so. And then make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Help the channel out, and then share. Lastly, make sure that you leave a comment. Answer the questions that I left with you earlier, or just leave a comment to let me know that you enjoyed the video and that you stopped by. Well, until next time, remember, learning is always as easy as 1, 2, 3 when you're hanging out with Ms. P. See you later.